Well, there's a number of different players in the suborbital human spaceflight market, the most prominent one being Virgin Galactic. And they're basically trying to put a business jet-sized vehicle into suborbital space and have 2 crew members and 6 passengers. They've been working on that since for about 6 years now. The smaller rival, which works right down the flight line from where Scale Composites is building the Virgin vehicle, is X-Core. That's a 2-seat vehicle. They're working on that for a number of years, and it's not clear when they're actually going to start flying. The big issue with X-Core is not so much the technology or the rocket engine or the shape of the vehicle necessarily. It's just, I think, it's getting sufficient funding to carry that through. And they always seem to be on the cusp of getting, a big infusion. But, it always seems to be a little bit out there for them out in the future. So they've been funding it through other contracts to do other things for other organizations, and in some cases those other projects assist them in getting the links moved forward. The issue with Virgin, I think, is they've got the carrier vehicle and the spacecraft. I think they've still been working on the engine and for the last 6 years and trying to get a propulsion system to make that work. And there's a couple other competitors out there. One is Armadillo Aerospace, which is building a number of different vehicles to go into suborbital, and they've got a passenger vehicle, and they can also launch with cargo and experiments. And there's the mysterious Blue Origin, which is Jeff Bezos's. He's from Amazon.com, and nobody quite knows where they are. They're the most secretive of all of them. So they may fly next year, or nobody really knows. And Maston Space Systems is primarily working on suborbital for experiments. So those are the main ones. They've got Eads Astrium also, from Europe, also is working on a suborbital vehicle of their own. It'd be more like a space plane. And there's a couple other proposals out there whose status I'm not clear about. So that's a basic rundown of things. And it's always a question of who's going to be first to get to commercial. And it's hard to say at this point. X-Core isn't isn't specifying a deadline or an estimate on when they're going to fly, and neither is Virgin. So we'll see how that goes.
So if it's a horse race and you're handicapped, you don't have a lot of data to go on.
No, there's not much data to go on that. So we'll just have to see. I mean, Virgin looks like it's ahead because it's got a vehicle and it's doing glide tests, but where their engine is, I'm not clear on.
You've been writing your blog, Parabolic Arc, now for how long?
3 years.
3 years.
Yeah.
You've been covering space for 3 years?
Yeah, in my current operations, but my experience goes back deeper than that. I've been kind of writing about it for about 20 years now, and I have a background in science and technology policy, and went to ISU and was a journalist before kind of getting into that area. So I've been writing for a long time, and been kind of followed politics and policy and kind of what's going on in the space community. So the blog was a good outlet for that, and it gives me a chance to kind of write about it every day. And when I started 3 years ago, there was very little news in this sector. There wasn't as much as there is today. There's almost an announcement of something new, or there's some breaking news just about every day now. So I've seen the field really grow over the last couple of years. And it's become more intense and more interesting.
And you cover pretty much NewSpace pretty exclusively?
It's about 3 different areas. One is the NewSpace, both here in the U.S. and abroad. most of it's located in the U.S. Also cover most of the major NASA news. I don't do deep dives into all the different areas that NASA works on, but most of the major stuff. And there's been a convergence between NASA and NewSpace in the last year or so, since the Obama administration went in a more commercial direction. And the other area I cover quite a bit, and this comes from my international interest, is just all the international programs that are going on. And you see a real shift there. You see Russia making a resurgence. You see China coming into its own. India has grand ambitions and even bigger problems, I think, at times. Europe is strong, Japan as well. And there's even emerging powers such as Brazil and like smaller countries like the Ukraine and Kazakhstan, which I think will play a major role, a bigger role than is generally understood.